This is Representative Mark Walker from North Carolina. Representative Mark Walker early this year was embroiled into a corruption scandal. Essentially, 4 people got indicted. Walker himself wasn't indicted, but he was an unnamed person in the indictment, even though Politico could essentially figure out who he was because he's a high-ranking member in the intelligence area for the Republican Party. Greg Lindbergh was trying to get Mark Walker to pressure the North Carolina insurance commissioner to replace his deputy. Now, I suppose there's no problem with this, except that he gave him $150,000. At least he gave a controlled PAC $150,000. A Walker controlled PAC $150,000 at the exact same time he was trying to get him to replace the North Carolina insurance commissioner, Mike Casey. Now, he initially tried to bribe Casey directly. That didn't work. And eventually this went to the authorities. The authorities found out, and the authorities put on a slew of indictments. He himself, again, the representative, was not named in this indictment, even though people around him were. And again, $150,000 was given to his PAC. Now, despite being embroiled in this sort of corrupt politics, Mark Walker from North Carolina had the good sense enough to ask a very basic and straightforward question that I ask on this channel often. What about them aliens? What about them aliens? Seriously, what about those UFOs? It is the most sensible and sane question in the world to ask, and I'll explain what I mean. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you enjoy this content, you find yourself coming back to this channel often, please like, share, and you can always support the PayPal patron. I started this video when I originally started doing the research for this video in a completely different area. And my first thought was like, who's Mark Walker? And then the first thing I look up for Mark Walker is he's embroiled into a corruption scandal, which is the funniest thing on the planet because it brings the UFO issue down to reality. And it hits home at this very basic point that I make. Because there are some people on the web who think that the UFO thing is just going to be magic and that the people are all of a sudden going to work out in the best interest of human beings. I cover politics. These people are seedy, and you should have somewhat of a bit more cynical perspective of this information, if this information is indeed true. This guy's embroiled in a corruption scandal while simultaneously asking about, what about them aliens? What about those UFOs? Now, the reason he's asking this, and this question was directed to the Navy, was for obvious reasons. The Navy has come out saying, we are changing our protocols in regards to how people are giving us information on UFOs because they continuously seeing UFOs. Here's the catch. The moment that the Navy comes out and says that, the Navy has confirmed that issue. Because the Navy will not say we're going to change our protocols for something that doesn't exist. There has been enough people who's bringing this issue up for them to do this. And not just that, the information hit in the New York Times, Politico, Washington Post, Luis Elizondo, who was literally working in that black budget project that brought all of this to light, doing interviews all over the place. How can the Navy deal with this and pretend as if that doesn't exist? They can't. And so they don't. They changed their protocols. We're going to allow our pilots to give us additional information on this issue. Here's the catch. The moment that the Navy does this, what does logically has to happen? What does it logically means? I often get annoyed with issues of Congress because I often think to myself, the moment that something comes out, and if you accept it as a reality, there's certain logical things that follow with that particular reality. If scientists say you have 12 years left on the planet to get your house in order, that should compel you to act a particular way. The people who explain your universe to you has just told you that what you're doing on this planet is destroying your habitable environment. And you, despite oftentimes what you think are part of that habitable environment, and you yourself will be harmed by the actions that we are doing on this planet. It looks like there will be certain things that will compel you, mean certain things that will drive your actions the moment that you accept that to be true. Same thing with the UFO issue. The Navy comes out and says they're UFOs. People are seeing UFOs. No, we're not going to tell you what they are. We're not going to give you information on what we've been accruing from the standpoint of data. Just know that our pilots are seeing things in the sky that they can't explain, that is doing things that is beyond the abilities of our craft, let alone beyond the abilities of a person to live within a craft that is doing those things. Not to mention the psychic phenomena that's associated with it, where some of the pilots say that they ended up where we were before we even knew that we were going to go to where we were. You have to explain this. There's certain logical things that need to follow from this. This has certain massive implications. Regardless of the way you think about it, the moment that you accept it's true. And it seems that the Navy has accepted it to be true. And I have no reason to believe that the Navy is lying on this front for something that will be this massive of a story to lie about. My point is this. Mark Walker, despite being embroiled into an ethics thing and all this other stuff, asked the most sane question on the planet. What's going on with those UFOs? Because his point is, this sounds like it's a national security risk. Our pilots are saying these things are doing things that are well beyond the capability of our craft. And listen to what he says. What he says is on point. Top Republican on the Homeland Security Committee is seeking more details on UFOs. Based on pilot accounts, encounters with these UAPs often involve complex flight patterns and advanced maneuvering which demand extreme advances in quantum mechanics, nuclear sciences, electromagnetics, and thermodynamics. Mark Walker of North Carolina, the ranking member of the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Subcommittee, wrote to the Navy Security Richard Spencer in the newly released letter in July. If the accounts are true, Walker added, the unidentified craft could pose a security risk, a serious security risk, to our military personnel and defense apparatus. While I am encouraged by the Navy's proactive decision to draft new guidelines for reporting, I am concerned that these reports are not being fully investigated or understood. Now, you're a member of Congress. You're a member on the Intelligence Services Committee. And take out all this other stuff about what they might be, what they are, all that stuff. Take out all that part. Push that to the side for the moment. The branch of your government has just said, we've been looking at UFOs. And our pilots have been seeing UFOs. Not one or two. Many, a lot, have been seeing UFOs. So many, in fact, we need to start recording this information to get more information on this particular topic. You're a member of Congress. What are you to do with that information? What are you to do with that? You can say, I don't know what they are. However, if something is doing what you say they're doing, these pose a national security risk to our planes, especially if you're a reactive Republican. Your first thought is, oh my God, are you saying that there are UFOs in our skies that we don't know what they are and identified as in the first word? We need to figure out what that is. Are you investigating what that is? We need to know what your investigations are showing. This seems to be like a national security risk. You're saying that these are real. We need to know what these are, seeing as you're saying these are real. I'm saying there's a logical flow that kind of goes along with the moment that the Navy says we're seeing UFOs. Again, take off the table what it might be and everything else. I'm just saying, just as a member of Congress, and you would think that there will be more members of Congress that would take this position of, there's something in our skies. We don't know what those things are in our skies. And these can pose national security risk, seeing as they're doing things that our pilots and our craft can't do. We're spending $1 trillion on our military. Are you telling me that there's something out there that's better and more advanced than us? That's a problem. Is the Navy taking this seriously? I'm a Republican. I'm flipping out. I don't know what this is. I'm terrified. I need to know what this is. Yes, I'm embroiled in a corruption scandal, but what about the aliens? That's the most fucking logical. And I gotta be honest, I don't understand why more members of Congress don't take that perspective. One more point. One or two things are true. And it can only be one or two things. Either it's us or it's not. Assume for the moment that the Navy is right. Because, again, the Navy has no reason to lie about this. The pilots are seeing what they've been seeing. The pilots have been seeing those things for decades. For decades. It's only now that this is coming to the forefront. One or two things are true. Either the craft that they're seeing, and they are seeing things, it is conspiracy theory at this point to say that they're not. Either they're us or they're not. And you must understand, both of those are epic. Both of those eventualities are epic. Whatever those pilots, whatever the Navy is seeing, it's either us or it is not. And both of those eventualities are mind-blowing. Imagine for the moment that it's not us. Stop there. You don't even need to go further. Whether you're talking about something that's interdimensional or whether you're talking about something that just is not from this particular planet, but is, physical just like we are. That is mind-blowing. Except for the moment, though, that it's us. Why is that any less mind-blowing? Because what that would mean is that the advances in science and technology and everything else that have been taking place have been taking place in a way that is split off from our current military. That's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing on several accounts. A, that the technology exists. First point. B, that the technology was being developed outside of the current flow of our technological development that we are aware of. Meaning on the light side that we are aware of, that is in our limelight, that we can see, that we see the military advances and everything else. It would literally mean that something else is taking place concurrent to our own technological development, and it is shot past us in mind-blowing levels from all notions of technology, meaning thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, even the ability for those craft, if somebody was in those craft, to somehow warp space to allow inertial effects to be ignored. These things will be far beyond what we know in technology. And when I'm saying far beyond, take that with a grain of salt. Sometimes advances in technology just have, a quirk here or quirk there, but they seem mind-blowing just from the perspective of where we are. I'm saying either what these pilots are observing is us, or it is not us. And both eventualities are mind-blowing. Again, if it is us, it means that there is a concurrent branch of technology that has gone side by side with us, and that for the most part has left us in the dust. And that our pilots are observing what from their perspective seems so advanced, because from their perspective of things, they have no idea that this concurrent branch of technology is taking place. That is mind-blowing, and that has certain major implications. Meaning, from the standpoint of is it okay that we have this secondary branch of technology that is going beyond our current society, and that stays in the realm of the black? And again, the other point is, if it is us, if it's not us. I know this is going to sound weird, but it is more terrifying in a way if it's us. Because think about what that means. It means that corporations have been able to get their hands on technology that the government has been hiding within corporations. Look, part of the reason the Freedom of Information Act only applies to government. It doesn't apply to private interests. And one of the ways that the government hides technology is by putting it in the hands of private enterprise. Now, the interesting phenomenon with this thing is, if it is us, then the question becomes, why is this becoming available now? Like, why is this being seen now? Because if it is indeed us, and if this is just this kind of concurrent technological path that has been taking place in the black, that has gone so far ahead of our current technology that when we're observing it, it seems like it's something out of this world, then the question becomes, why now? Why is this being seen now? Why are questions being asked about it now? Why is this being put into the limelight where people can see it now? And then this is assuming, this is questioning if it's us. Because if it's us, then it's entirely up to the whims of the individuals who hold that level of technology to disclose it. But you must understand, that's somewhat of a conspiracy theory. Like, it's not that I'm shocked that we would have black budget projects. Half of the budget is in the black. And it is totally possible that our technology has gone to a certain point where it has outstriped our own. I don't know if that's true. And it seems like that is, I have to be honest, weirder than us being a ball hurling through space. And in the same way, we view our celestial neighbors with our modest technology that 100 years in advance of us, that something else wouldn't necessarily do the same, meaning something far in advance of our own technology. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? I'm just saying, between the two eventualities, it's one or the other. It's either us or it's not. And it being us, for some reason, is a little bit more terrifying to me. Regardless of Walker's own personal issues, however, dealing with corruption in the great state of North Carolina, it's not a great state. In this case, Walker has the most sane question on the planet. What about them UFOs? What about those UFOs? Noel Elbert. Either government is hiding tech or visitation is happening. Yes, one or the other. It is literally impossible of being something else. Without being specific, it seems likely that some either religious document or prehistory document would reference aliens. Without Googling full ancient aliens. Oh, right. Without going full ancient aliens. Look, there's pictures where these guys like drew in the past that would have like an alien ship behind it. It's some of the weirdest stuff on the planet that these things will show up. Even biblical references. Like some of the biblical references that Ezekiel is talking about, or even some of the elements of the Bible that wasn't included in the Bible. That stuff comes across like a UFO visitation. It is the weirdest thing to read. It really is. Look, the ancient alien stuff goes overboard. And I have to be honest, when I'm making my arguments about the UFO topic, or UFs, or whatever you want to call it, I don't have to go there. Like, the evidence for it, at this point, it's overwhelming. And even just making the argument from the standpoint of what is known, meaning what is in mainstream media at this point, what is considered to be mainstream. The conspiracy theory is that these guys aren't being visited, or the conspiracy theory is that the stuff didn't happen and that the Navy is making it up. But that just seems to be extreme in the level of conspiracy theory to say that the Navy is completely making it up, that all the pilots are lying and all this other stuff. And for all of the skeptics, at this point, skepticism is a little weird. The skepticism, if you're being earnest with yourself, and if there's any credibility associated with it, has to be on whether or not it's a visitation or not. But again, it's either us or it's not. And both of those are extraordinary. And if you engage in both take you down areas that have dramatic implications for what it means. If it is not us, and it is indeed us, and those pilots are seeing things and seeing ships and craft that are doing things that are phenomenal, either the pilots are losing their mind, which I honestly don't believe, or those pilots are indeed seeing something. Is it us or is it not? If it is indeed us, that means there is technology that is being had somewhere that is out of the eyesight and out of the hand of the military, the Navy, the Army, essentially branches of the military, meaning that there are technology that goes beyond what our current military branch has. And when engaging that technology, it literally seems alien because it's so far advanced. That is dramatic and that is extraordinary. The secondary part is they were seeing craft that were not of this world. At least that's what Luis Elizondo says. No, we don't believe it was from here because the technology is beyond anything that we've ever seen. One or the other is true. Leave it here. I mean, I don't need to go further. It's just a phenomenal thing. It's just a phenomenal thing. Ancient Aliens was showcased for the most outrageous hairstyles. Yeah, that fair enough, Bob. That's true. It was. But you got to engage my point here because my point is right. It's one or the other. It's us or it's not. And if you're a skeptic and you're like, it's not us, fair enough. But that means that it is us. And that is terrifying. By the same token, if it's not us, Oh my God. Interesting times. Interesting times. Somebody said when Jamal is talking about aliens, he looks like a younger man. Topic is fucking phenomenal. I mean, God, for fuck's sake, think about what this means in either case, though. I mean, a branch of the military has just come out and said we're seeing UFOs. And Congress members are openly asking about them UFOs. Rand Paul. Even Rand Paul wanted to know. Harry, what's up with aliens? Look, I'm covering this topic because I am enamored by this topic. And I've gone in more than one occasion on my own weird experiences with this stuff. My rule is try it. Don't ridicule, try it. And I know this, the alien thing, there's nothing to try. This is more just an information thing as it kind of comes down. But I'm open to this stuff because I've had bizarre experiences. And so when I see stories like this, and this is somewhat of a mainstream thing now, oddly enough, how weird, I call attention to it. I think it's one of the most important stories. And I know not necessarily important on a day-to-day basis, but I'm talking about from the standpoint of humankind. What this means is extraordinary. Again, whether it's us or not, in both cases, the technological development that would have been necessary for humankind to do what they were doing with these craft, if it's indeed us, again, is groundbreaking and extraordinary. Not to mention this notion of a breakaway civilization that has just kind of gone off, so far ahead that we're just like, oh my God, they look like aliens. Now, the secondary part, though, if it's not us, OMG. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks all.